What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my segment Ego Weight Watchers, where I give you guys a look into the lifestyle of the fighters, body types, before and after pictures, especially if they have a fight coming up. Now, I had to make a video about this. There was a press conference in the UK promoting the fight Golovkin, hey, no guys, Max, no, right, not for future, right, versus Kell Brook. And I'm gonna give my insight, what I saw. Basically, it was kind of run-of-the-mill. They're promoting the fight like they do. They are already touched down in New York. Now they're on Kell Brook's side across the pond in the UK promoting the fight. Things were said where Kell Brook said, I want to beat Golovkin. I'm going to beat him, show him that I'm elite. Golovkin said things like, oh, this biggest test for me. I know my situation. Things like that. I want to talk more about like what I've seen. They're doing some promo work, I'm assuming with HBO, maybe even Sky Sports or whatnot on the UK side. So they're in front of like green screens and canvases and stuff like that, probably shooting a commercial or trailer for this, because this will be pay-per-view on the UK side. Now, I did a video a while ago, make sure you guys check it out, when they were in New York, and these recent pictures, I feel even more confident about what I initially said. I gave kind of my first preview of what I said. And a lot of people keep saying like, oh, Golovkin's naturally big and he's naturally Golovkin size. They look about the same height. That's not a big disparity. But what I said in that first video, after seeing these pictures, I truly feel in terms of mass and who's naturally just at that level, I think Golovkin clearly looks bigger. He looks wider. He looks like more comfortable. Brook is kind of stout, compact. He's ripped. So he looks pretty big and pretty lean, but the guy who's naturally bigger is clearly Golovkin. And the thing is, people are saying Kell Brook's walking around weight is around that, or he should be fighting at 160. But the bottom line is he hasn't fought at 160, let alone going in against the guy most people would perceive as the best middleweight. So I still see it being, like I always felt, an uphill battle. And I'm not undermining or underrating Kell Brook's his skill set. I think he does have a skill set, but again, I attribute it and liken it to running on a treadmill versus running outdoors. More obstacles, different things. You could feel great on a treadmill, then you get out there and roll your ankle in a pothole, or you know what I mean, almost get hit by a car. Different ball game. If you're in the gym running on a treadmill, you don't really have to worry about, I don't know what kind of gyms y'all have, but you don't really have to worry about a car crashing into the treadmill aisle. Just stuff like that doesn't happen, but you have to be fully alert running outdoors, especially if it's at night or something like that. And sparring is sparring. Kell Brook keeps saying, oh, I feel better at this weight and things like that, but the fact is, despite all of that, you chose to continue fighting at welterweight, right? So you're killing yourself to make weight or whatever. Seeing is believing. I'm picking Golovkin to win the fight. I've always been picking Golovkin. I think Kell Brook may pose some of a challenge, but I think the end result will be inevitable, and that's Golovkin winning. And I really think this, to me, the reason I'm going to watch it is because it's a spectacle. Anything could technically happen in boxing, but if I'm a betting man, I certainly would pick Golovkin. And a lot of people keep saying, oh, it's a fair fight, they're the same size. Pick Kell Brook then, right? There's a couple people, but I still haven't seen those people picking Kell Brook and explaining what he's going to do, or what Jojo Dan, Kevin Bezier, Frankie Gavin, his last three opponents have done to prepare him for this moment against the best middleweight. I just really haven't seen educated breakdowns. If you have one, drop it in the comment section so we can all share and rejoice at your accurate prediction after it's all said and done. So I see Golovkin winning all the way. To me, this is more of a circus type fight and more of a spectacle. And really what I want to see is if Kell Brook can pose problems, and how feisty he can be, and if he can go the distance. That's really what my prediction is going to consist of. I told you I'm picking Golovkin. I'll probably do 7 reasons. So it's more so I'd be watching to see if I'm right, which I do believe I will be right, and how long it lasts and how feisty Kell Brook can be. And again, I rate Kell Brook very highly. I told people, in fact, when other people counted Kell Brook out, like the Sean Porter fight, the video is still up. I don't deny or delete any kind of videos. I don't block them. So bottom line is, you can go see that video right now. I predicted Kell Brook and projected him to win before the fight versus Sean Porter, and that was right. A lot of people said, oh, who the hell is Kell Brook? He got hurt, or he had to run for his money versus Carson Jones, and he's not been in there with someone like Sean Porter. And I rate Kell Brook but I think there's levels. And jumping up 2 weight classes, a lot of people want to come up with these historic examples, or Roberto Duran did this, and I mean, that's cool. Times are different, and from what I see, I just don't see Kell Brook winning. And from these photos, it looks more and more apparent that we are seeing a middleweight with a guy who's jumping up 2 weight divisions. You got to look at certain things. Like, people did this with Amir Khan and Canelo. They said stuff like, oh, Canelo's the same height. I don't care about height solely. Height's great, that's fine. But when I look at Canelo, I look at his build, his neck, the thickness of his legs, things like that, versus Amir Khan, who has a big back. His legs are kind of wiry. His arms are real, just long and lanky. It's a different. And the other thing is, Canelo was comfortable versus Amir Khan. He had been fighting at 155, and he fought guys like Angulo, Lara, Kirkland, Cotto, all at 155, whereas Amir Khan hadn't. And I'm not comparing directly Amir Khan's chin or durability, him as a quality of fighter, to Kell Brook, but I do know weight classes are in place for a reason. And when I look at him, no matter what you can say, oh, Kell Brook's better chin, he's muscle bound, I still see a certain level of thickness in the body type, where it looks like Golovkin has a higher BMI, body mass index, and it looks like he's just the naturally bigger fighter, right? Kell Brook, like the width of Golovkin versus the width of Kell Brook. And it's not just about body type. This is also coming from a position of breaking the fight down and skill. Anybody could be bigger or smaller. You know what I mean? Like, let's say Kell Brook was fighting, I don't know, Angulo or something at this point at 160. Then that would be a different fight, and I would break that down based on Angulo's strengths and Kell Brook's strengths. But we're talking about a guy who is on like a 22 knockout streak. He's a great fighter, a lot of amateur experience. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced of what I believe, and that's Golovkin has to beat him. You know what I mean? Again, to me, I would be shocked. I'd really be shocked if Kell Brook beat him, because he's going to have to box a very measured, cautious fight. He's going to have to get hurt if he does get hurt, and recover well. Golovkin's a hell of a finisher. He's a good counterpuncher, light on his feet. He can take a punch from what I've seen. He took Curtis Stevens, who I know can crack. He took his power at 160. Curtis Stevens had some momentum, knocking out guys like Saul Roman in a brutal fashion. So you guys got to follow boxing and study it. Like Saul Roman, if you guys Google the name, I'm not saying he's the best person in the division, but he has names, and he's been in there with some people, and he's been pretty tough, right? He's been in there with some quality names, and Curtis Stevens like had a highlight reel knockout of him in brutal fashion. So I do respect Curtis Stevens' power, and Golovkin did get backed up at portions, but he still figured it out. And I don't really see, and they say picture says 1,000 words. You can't judge just solely off a picture, but the more and more I see it, I'm looking and waiting for that moment where like Kell Brook truly looks the equivalent size or bigger to Golovkin, and I just haven't found it, right? Kell Brook, they keep saying, oh, he should be fighting at this weight, and Kell Brook saying I'm a beast at middleweight, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. If I'm wrong, I have no problem getting on here and saying, hey, I was wrong. Kell Brook showed up in front of his hometown crowd. But more often than not, if you watch my prediction streak, when I do prediction videos, even in difficult fights, not just, some people, oh, you just pick the favorite. I don't just pick shit. I pick who I think will win, whether they're the favorites or not. There's times where I don't pick the favorite, like when Donaire fought Nicholas Walters, when Kell Brook fought against Sean Porter. I picked the winners accurately in those fights, and they weren't the favorites. You know what I mean? There's other fights where Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postal, I don't know who was the favorite. I don't even bet. I don't even know how to, all the ins and outs about betting odds and stuff. I'm not a gambler when it comes to sports betting like that. So I don't even care or know who's the favorite in a lot of fights other than what I perceive as the favorite, right? So that being said, I pick who I think will win based on that stylistic matchup. There were a lot of people picking Postal. I told you who would win and kind of how he would do it. So it's more than just picking a favorite or picking this guy, because if you look at it, there's only 2 people. That's not the Royal Rumble. It's 2 people in that ring. So bottom line, it's a 50-50 chance you'll be right. It's more than that. It's the ability to break down the fight, foreshadow, see what would happen based on patterns, and really break down the fight. Anybody could just pick Leo Santa Cruz will lose. But how is he going to lose? What does Carl Frampton bring to the equation that makes you believe that he'll beat him? You know what I mean? So I see it. I'll probably do a 7 reasons and fully expand and break down why I believe Golovkin would win. You guys let me know what you think of the pictures. I think Kell Brook, just like most people, and I've talked to different people, Sean Porter, and I've heard and seen different interviews, Roberto Garcia, a lot of people are calling this a mismatch and think Kell Brook bit off more than he can chew. And another thing is, I can't go without saying this. Kell Brook, a great fighter who's rated at welterweight, but since Sean Porter, he hasn't fought anybody of the note at welterweight, right? Let alone jumping up 2 weight divisions to fight the best guy that is at that division. And that's the bottom line. If Kell Brook had a little bit tougher of a schedule recently, maybe I would have a different opinion. Like if he didn't fight Kevin Bezier, Frankie Gavin, and Jojo Dan, because I think those guys do very little to prepare you. Just like this is, and the funny thing is this on my channel, new media. A lot of times when I make these videos, they're quote unquote controversial, or people say, oh, you don't know shit about Boxingego, you suck. And as time progresses, a lot of what I'm saying comes out to be true, right? I said, I don't think Canelo is fighting Triple G next. I didn't see it. And I said this before in December of 2015. Based on who Canelo decides to fight next, that'll give me an indication of if he's really serious about fighting Golovkin. Because the whole voluntary defense seems suspect, that if you really wanted to fight him, you didn't have to have a voluntary defense. But I was like, okay, maybe he just wants to acclimate, and depending on who he fought, that's going to determine. If he fought a David Lemieux, okay, he might be gearing up for Golovkin. When I found out he picked Amir Khan, I'm like, hell no, he's not trying to fight Golovkin, because that's not the stylistic person you would fight if you wanted to fight a Golovkin, because Amir Khan is fast as hell. Golovkin is slow. Amir Khan has limited power at welterweight, and Golovkin has an immense amount of power at middleweight. So it's just, these are telltale signs that Canelo wasn't going to fight Golovkin straight away. And I believe the same thing in this particular fight with Kell Brook. Based on the buildup, who he's recently been in there with, none of this was planned, and none of this is good, a progressive string of fights to prepare him for a Golovkin fight. So he's gonna have to dig in the crates if he wants to pull out an upset, like the Sean Porter days and stuff. And even that fight, that was a rough fight. That was a rough fight for him. He got a cut and stuff. So let me know what you guys think. UK presser did happen, Golovkin Brook. I told you who I'm picking. You guys tell me who you're picking. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.